I'm probably going to jail for this. I don't care. I've stayed quiet long enough.
If you missed the first part of this video, it's insane, but you got to go watch part 1. I'll leave a link in the pinned comments and in the description down below. Basically, this guy met a girl. He was 24. She was in her mid-30s, and she told him during a one-night stand that she wanted to have a child. He has a huge binder full of proof and documented everything. She lied to him and said that she wanted a sperm donor. There'd be no strings attached. But after she had the baby, she got him on child support. She got like $55,000 out of him and got to stay in one of his Airbnbs for 2 years rent-free. He took a paternity test and found out he wasn't the dad, but he still seems to be paying child support every month. There are plenty of other details, but you gotta go check out part 1 of this video, and I'll leave a link in the pinned comments and in the description down below. Go check it out.
Mastermind. Those nurses who built giant platforms on TikTok from being such amazing, kind people, they were narcissists too. Specifically, Hadley.
Girlfriend who was a nurse tampered with the test result, and Nurse Hadley lost custody of all her children.
Okay, I want to take a moment to address the people saying I'm a clout chaser for addressing this again. This became an entirely different battle for me when they attacked Hadley. When I originally shared my story to clear my name, Maria, through her cousin, came online and spread horrible lies about Hadley. They said that she lost custody of her kids, that she was a felon, and that she tampered with the DNA test. None of those things are true, but so many people believed it. I watched the person I love cry while strangers made videos about her. They review bombed her book without even reading it, and despite all of that, she still stood by me. So yes, I came with a literal binder of receipts, and I'm going through it in order so they can't twist things again. Because it's one thing to hurt me, but it's a whole other thing when you're attacking the person that I love. Yeah. Hadley and I met at the gym, and we went on our first date on March 20th, 2024. About a month later, I brought Hadley to lunch with my mom. My mom told us about Maria texting her recently. Maria was saying that I was selfish, that I wasn't allowed to see the baby anymore, and that she didn't want the baby to grow up like me. Hadley said, she can't do that, there's a court order. Because Hadley knew the system, she'd already been through it herself. On June 8th, we spent the day with the baby, Hadley's kids, and some close friends. We played cornhole, we went to a birthday party, and even had dinner with friends that night.
By the way, apparently the woman that he's talking about, his new girlfriend, is a doctor on TikTok, and she got like over 1 million followers on TikTok. So when he says that like he fell in love with this woman, she's also a TikToker. He's not really a TikToker. He just got on TikTok to share a story. He seems like he's more into real estate. But yeah, the woman that he's with is she has over 1 million followers on TikTok or something like that. So people were coming after her on social media, and you know how people are when they think they understand something and they get real brave and bold because they can say whatever they want without consequences online. You know how that is.
Just a good day. But when Maria found out that the baby and I were at Hadley's house, she lost it. She texted my mom saying I don't get to play house with their daughter. It's an interesting choice of words considering how the story ends. Maria demanded that I call her immediately or she's going to call the police. I had to leave the baby with Hadley and her friend to go to another room so I could calm Maria down. Soon after, I go on a bachelor trip that was planned months in advance. While I'm gone, Maria jumps on Facebook and has a full-blown meltdown. She says I'm absent from the baby's life and that I skipped town on Father's Day. I had just seen the baby a few days ago and already had a flight booked to be back on Father's Day. But reality doesn't stand a chance when Maria opened social media. Her post was public, no matter how many times she claims it was only friends and family. This little globe icon says otherwise. There's no way it was only her 5,000 close friends and family. Hadley saw it, her family saw it, probably half the state saw it. She called me a deadbeat. She said that I put my dick in anything that walks, and accused me of shoving hot dogs down my throat for Instagram likes.
And Jordan Peterson talks about this too. He says that men tend to lead on the side of physical aggression, while when women are aggressive, they tend to lead on the side of like attacking your character and being passive aggressive. Basically plausible deniability. So, you know, if you call them out on it, they can go, I don't know what I did. No, I didn't do anything. So basically right now she's just attacking his character and trying to humiliate him in front of his family and friends. And to be honest, he already said that it was a mistake, but if you just out here sleeping with women frivolously at 24, you understand what you're doing. And so this is just the consequence of a bad decision he made when he was 24. Luckily, he's trying to clear his name now, but, I mean, you still got to deal with, all the circumstances that you put on yourself.
Which honestly is pretty funny. But the real kicker, she ends it with, the truth is coming out, and I'm not afraid to share it to the public anymore. She's all about freedom of speech until someone else starts talking. Anyways, she doesn't answer my calls or texts on Father's Day, so I don't get to see the baby. I'm not even shocked at this point. On June 20th, we head to the Bahamas for Hadley's brother's wedding. My parents were supposed to keep the baby for the weekend, but at the last moment, Maria asked if she could keep the baby instead. I say, sure, trying to keep the peace. Naturally, 2 seconds later, she's texting my mom. She's saying that I chose my girlfriend over my daughter, and now she's going back to court for full custody. My mom calls her out and says exactly what everybody else is thinking. You've micromanaged his every move, he's never bashed you publicly, and you've wished him dead more than once. And she was right. So it's June, and according to the court order, I'm supposed to have the baby for the whole month. But as usual, Maria was picking and choosing what rules apply. June 25th, this is what her family loves to twist. The infamous Lowe's incident. Here's what actually happened. The night before, on the phone, Maria told me that I could pick the baby up from school in the morning. So I did. We ran some errands, grabbed lunch, and then we went to Lowe's. While I'm there, I text her and ask if I can keep the baby overnight. She calls me immediately. Her response, not thanks, not sure. Is Hadley with you? I said yes, and instantly she flips.
Wow.
She says that she's coming to Lowe's right now. I was like, no, you're not going to make a scene in Lowe's. I'll just drop Hadley off, and then I'll bring her back to your house like we planned. I hang up, and then I reiterate what I said on the phone through text. I put away my phone while I'm driving. I check my phone when I park at Hadley's house. Apparently, Maria's at Lowe's now. I had multiple missed calls from my dad. I call him back, and he tells me that Maria has called him. And apparently, she was running up and down the aisles at Lowe's, screaming that her daughter had been kidnapped.
Oh my
Oddly
God.
enough, her family doesn't deny this part. They just said that I didn't answer the phone for hours.
Bro, this is what guys have to understand, bro. When you're dealing with women, you have to understand that, like, guys who are stereotypical losers, like what culture will point to as a loser as a guy, they sit in their mom's basement, they play video games, they don't have a job, they never bear any bulk of responsibility in their lives, and that's what society will call a loser. But you got to understand, the female side, they get pushed out of their families' houses because they don't abide by the rules. Because this woman was like, she has no family support, and that's why she needed, if you watch the first part, that's why she needed him to come and see her in the first place, or come when the baby was born in the first place, because she has no family support. Translation to me is, your family, you pushed everybody away that loves you because you're insane, and this is reflected in her behavior now. But the point that I'm trying to make is, oftentimes the guys who are losers stay in their mom's basements, while the women who are losers, they just go off into the world, just basically like siphoning off every guy that they meet and just destroying their lives individually. Because they can. Because there's always some guy that's willing to take her in or accept her or try to date her. And in this case, she got this guy tied up with this baby. But at the end of the day, this is a female version of a loser. You have nothing else to do with your time but try to use this baby as a weapon against this man. It's insane.
The drive from Lowe's to Hadley's house is 17 minutes. I called Maria back, and she starts making threats. Hadley tells me to hang up and text her because I need this in writing. That enrages Maria, but we'll get back to that soon. Regardless, I brought her back with no issue. On August 5th, Maria lets me see the baby again. A few days later, she comes inside Hadley's house. She meets Hadley's kids, she goes into their bedroom, she even played dolls with one of her daughters for a minute. Then, when she comes back to pick the baby up, all three of Hadley's kids are there, standing at the door, waving by. And this is the same woman that went online and told people that Hadley lost custody of all of her kids. She knew that was a lie. She met the kids and stood in their home. That wasn't confusion, that was strategy. Maria knew that if she could convince people that Hadley was a terrible person, the attention would shift off of her, and the truth wouldn't matter anymore. She wasn't trying to defend herself. She was just trying to take Hadley down because she was helping me. And they hated her for it. They knew she had a platform. They knew that people online
2.1 million subscribers. That's or followers on TikTok. That's a lot.
Cancel large creators. So they made her the target because that was easier than answering for what they had done. On August 10th, I did the first DNA test. That video and the fallout after will be next. But for now, people have said that Maria only shared stuff privately on her Facebook to family and friends. That's just not true. But even if those posts were private, they weren't. Explain this. Maria and her friends were in Hadley's comment section months before I made a video. They were harassing her and spreading lies, trying to bait her into saying something back. Hadley didn't respond, she just deleted it and moved on. Meanwhile, they're in her comments saying that I was behind on child support and that she moved me into her house after only knowing me for 3 months. For the record, none of that is true. But they weren't interested in the facts. They were interested in turning the internet against her before I ever said one word. And I sat there with DNA results in my hand, knowing everything they were saying was a lie. Yeah. And that's when it really hit me. This wasn't just about controlling me anymore. This was about making sure no one ever believed me.
Yeah.
And if they had to ruin Hadley to do
that.
Yeah,
it's like what lawyers do. Like if you got a case of a woman who claims to be SA'd or R-worded or, sexually assaulted or raped. It ain't on TikTok. We can say it on YouTube. And if you're just not adult enough to understand what I'm saying, I mean, it is what it is. But, it's a technique that lawyers will even use in court. If you can't attack the person's, their original position, then you attack their character to just try to nullify anything that they say. If you can make the jury not believe anything that the person says, then the story, no matter how valid what they say is, just won't be trusted. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they're just attacking his character so that when he goes to tell his story or his side of the story, nobody will believe him because they've already heard one side, and he seems to be an unbelievable source. That's what they're trying to make it out to be. Yeah, that's what they're doing.
They didn't care. On October 8th, I finally posted the truth. I shared the DNA results, I told my story, and I kept it factual. And immediately, Maria's cousin Michelle jumped in to Hadley's DMs. She said, "You're the problem. Brett was never this confident until you were in his ear. He never questioned anything before you." And there it was. It was never about the DNA test. It was never about co-parenting. They were just angry because I was not easy to control anymore.
Exactly.
And Hadley, he was never the villain. They just hated that someone finally gave me the strength to stand up for myself. And what really blows my mind is how many creators took their side. Even after Michelle publicly posted that she ever saw Hadley, it was on site. She wasn't even hiding it. She was threatening violence, admitting to lying, and openly trying to destroy her. And instead of calling that out, these creators amplified it. They didn't ask any questions. They didn't look at any of the facts. They just picked up the pitchfork and joined in.
Yeah.
So if you're one
Yeah,
of those
because TikTok is just a man-hating website. It's just a man-hating platform at this point. That's all people do on TikTok. So automatically the woman, if she gets on there crying and telling a sob story, everybody's just going to believe it. But this guy has actual evidence and proof, and this is a good case this man is presenting. This man brought out a whole portfolio and said, if the judge ain't going to listen to me, hopefully social media will. Even if I got to go to jail, I'm standing up for myself at this point. And that's what happens once you start to have a family and you got somebody else you love. You want to protect that person. And once you got to protect somebody else, you'll take it there. Yeah, once it comes to them, you'll take it there.
people who helped them do it. You didn't just get it wrong. You helped abusers keep their power.
Exactly.
I'll be waiting for an apology.
I'm not sure if this is the last segment, but I'm assuming so because he didn't say he was going to make another part. Guys, you got to go check out part 1 of this video if you haven't seen it. This story is absolutely insane. Nothing that I tell you is going to do it justice. This man has the whole portfolio, and he goes through it showing everything that you need to know about this situation. But yeah, this is the state of the world that we're in. This is where we are now when it comes to family court, when it comes to women being able to weaponize children against men. This is how far it's gone. You could be seen as 50% of the child's DNA, which in this case he isn't, and he proved that he isn't the dad biologically. But even then, once he signed that legal document, he's on the hook. And even with all this evidence, nobody's been hearing him out. This man is still paying his child support to this day. So hopefully at some point, you know, somebody will listen to his case. If I was the judge, I would have already ruled in his favor. It would have been over with. The second I seen that this man's paternity, he wasn't the dad of the kid, the case would have been open and shut. But of course, you got to remember that the states benefit off of child support. The state benefits off of running the man through the ringer, the lawyer, the judges, everybody from top down, the woman, everybody in the room gets paid but you off the back of you. Nobody's on your side. So you got to understand that. This is why I tell dudes, do not be sleeping with women or doing something that creates children with a woman you don't want to have children with. Because once you do whatever you got to do, they have all the power now. And if they want to control you and use the state as the enforcement arm to do so, it's allowed. And there's no punishment for it. This woman will face no penalty for what she's doing. And I've seen people in the comments before saying that paternity, there are laws against paternity fraud. I'm telling you right now, they're never enforced. I have a friend myself from a personal situation that dealt with something like this. Raised a kid. We went to school. This is at 15 years old. Was told that the kid was his. He went to work every single day. He would wake up, go to school at 8 a.m. After school at about 3:30, he would go to his job on the other side of town. From about 3:30 or 4 o'clock till about 10 o'clock, he would be at work for about 6 hours because that's all the time he had. Then he would ride his bike in Minnesota all the way back across town. At 15 years old, remember, 15. And he'd have to do homework, go to sleep, rinse and repeat because he thought that he was the father of a child. Rumors went around. His mom told him he should take a DNA test. Mom. Found out it wasn't his. The woman doesn't have any penalty for that. He had a issue with his health that he will never be able to recover from because of this situation. Luckily now he's happy. He's a successful career, beautiful wife, all the other things that you would want out of this story to make it a happy ending. But at the end of the day, the point that I'm trying to make is on the female side, there is no accountability for this type of degeneracy. And so you as a guy, you just have to avoid it. I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles. I'll keep you guys updated if he posts another video on the topic or if he continues with the story and talks about the fallout after, you know, he proved with the DNA test. I'm hoping that he has some good news or something that's coming from this because the man deserves it. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or L and give me the HBO special. That's a Help Brother Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Also, if you love the channel, if you like the channel, you want to support the channel in another way, join the Patreon. I'll leave a link in the pinned comments and in the description below. Till next time.